Hello everyone, today is day 20 of our Road to 2500 challenge. We have came just about 120 points, slightly behind, which is 2/3 of the challenge. So in a way, we should of course attempt to speed up further, and that is basically our only hope of succeeding in this challenge, though I understand how difficult it is, given the limited time. So today let us see if we can actually make the crucial breakthrough and gain some extra rating. We are playing black, and let us begin some fun chess. This is the French Defense Winawer variation. Aha, h4, interesting. I think the move here would be this. And go here. We lure him to play c4. And now I think we can block the side up, and then we're just simply going to try to castle ourselves because of the fact of how safe the queen side actually is. That is an interesting move. Let's develop with tempo, and then we will be quickly castling over here, and potentially we might play either this or this. Queen c7 in the near future, b6 to stop any threats over here. Then we might just be rotating our pieces around a bit and playing this position slowly. Aha. And now g4. Okay. I mean, I don't really want to give a pawn for free. So let's back up temporarily. His rook doesn't have a good square to go to. And bishop h3 to support g4. Okay, let's now bring our rook over. Surely we will also be rotating the queen around and supporting f6. Okay, now that's interesting. I guess you might not be familiar that this pawn structure is actually a decent setup in the French defense. Because, first of all, we can potentially target this pawn. Second, we are also creating a pawn storm on this side because of this majority, which is going to help me. And still, now I've got targets. And he doesn't really have a good target. And also, something you guys probably should know is that in front of a passed pawn, even though this pawn is not really a passed pawn, the correct approach is to put a knight there. So knight d8 makes a lot of sense. And now, I guess the natural move would be to finish our journey. And then now, perhaps f6 would work. Or, no, he played h6. How to play here? Let's open up the position. Now, after takes, we could probably bring one of our rooks over to target this pawn. Okay, now he played king e2, which is a surprise. Let's block the path of that bishop. Now we are again trying to grab the g5 pawn. Rook f6. Okay, I doesn't really understand that, because in the first place we are losing this pawn anyhow. And if he's trying to grab the f7 pawn, well, actually, if you imagine a scenario where there's no f7 pawn nor f4 pawn, what do you think of this pawn? And yeah, quickly our pieces will be flying over to the king side, and he's really going to be experiencing some serious problems. Now, that is literally just calling on ourselves to attack this knight. And I guess rook f4 is a nice way to defend. Just barely. And yeah, let's not forget about our bishop. At first, I didn't even realize that my bishop is hanging. But we are consolidating, and he literally played king to e3. A king walk in the middle of a game is pretty insane. But let's just take. And we can just gladly grab this exchange, and now let's find the way to convert this game into a win. So I think the first step should be pushing the pawn down further, and then utilizing the fact that he has a weak king to, add some pressure over there. So after rook h1, I think the natural move here would be to play this, as mentioned. We're supporting h3, and if we can push our pawn all the way down to h2, we're also threatening rook h3, a multi-purpose move. Queen f6. Now that's a strange move. Okay, since I don't really understand that, let's keep on pushing. And in these type of pawn structures, I think even if we trade off the queens and these rooks, and even if we lose this pawn, we should still be able to win, because of how weak this pawn over here is, we can walk our king all the way over to attack this pawn and get his bishop stuck over here and just attack the bishop further. So now we play queen f4. I guess defending h2. So let's go for the trade. After all, we mentioned that this is safe and sound. We still can win because of this weak pawns over here. Now if you take, I will go here. If you trade, it's just, over. Because, boom, boom, and we queen. That is a clean game, honestly. So he resigned in the end, and let's keep on playing. Let's play one more game, make some more progress. Ideally not to lose, of course. Even if we lose, I mean, it's okay. Sometimes you guys really need to actually see some games that I lose, because those games are actually the most educational. Even though that's bad for our challenge, it's going to be good for both my chess and your chess. Let's wait for our opponent. And off we go. Okay, 2200, that means we really do take the pride of us 2400s and beat this guy, okay? Oh, that's a surprise. Now this transfer our position into one of these. Let's begin with jumping our knight in and taking. Let's take. And now we can push. Oh, wow. That's an absurd position. I mean, this suddenly turned into total symmetry, which is just so absurd. Okay, let's consider what is the best capture. Of course, I don't think this is good because of the pawn structure. If we take here, I guess it's allowing us to have this pass pawn, which looks decent, so let's go for it. Pawn takes or bishop takes. Oh, he went for bishop takes. Well, let's try to get rid of this bishop. Because if this bishop falls, I mean, his pawn structure is going to be a mess. However, he played queen e7. So let's trade anyhow. Oh, that's interesting. I did not expect him to take with the queen. So I guess he's really afraid of my d5 pawn. I don't really understand. So here, the idea of the position is to infiltrate, of course, even though these squares doesn't work yet, but we can maneuver around a bit. Because now he doesn't have a fiat kettle bishop, but he's got this weak king over here. And yeah, he's also behind development. So I think we should be significantly better. Okay, bishop a6. Interesting choice. Why do I have a feeling that he's really messing his position up? Okay, let me think. Give me a second. Ooh, now that seems interesting. Queen a4, a nice move. Because even though we're sacrificing the d3 pawn, as I drew in my arrows, we're going to play queen e7, and there's literally no way to stop this threat. So I think his only move here would be to play bishop c8. Oh, he actually took. That means queen d7, and this should be the end. We're threatening this. And if that, we give a check. Only move rook f7, then checkmate. Okay, he resigned. Well, that's a brief game, so let's call it an end today. But actually, before we go, let's do a quick review of our game. So this first game is pretty clear-cut, and honestly, I would have played f5 here. That is basically the entire idea of the position. But after takes, we took as well, and we managed to get f4 first. So that gives me the initiative. Apparently, we're supposed to play bishop h6. And aha, now this trade our pieces off much more forcefully, and now these guys are going to be attacked. So after this takes, I think just taking really isn't that much of a problem. Like you could bring your pieces over, you could just develop normally. You could of course also go for that bishop a6 idea of targeting d3. There is no real way for me to push d6 yet. And after rook c1, b6, that is a slow move, resulting in rook c7 and bishop a6, missing the fact that there's queen a4, what a move. I'm really proud of it. And after bishop d3, this is simply over. The reason for which is that there's no way to defend h7. And if he retreats, queen, and if he retreats like this, queen e6, rook f7, queen f7 is checkmate. And of course, let's also review the first game, which is here. So, in the game, a Winawer, one of the more passive positions for black. But I really like to go for the c4 idea. Like, this is just taking on the risk of a two-side castling, and these positions are really rich. And he probably should have went for h6, because after this is going to be an extremely weak square. Perhaps bishop g5 exploits it, knight g5 of course as well. But he didn't. He gave me the chance to castle first, and then to eventually put on a nice little pawn storm over here. And then in the end I managed to win a piece. So I think where he really went wrong was this move. So basically, if he had retreated normally, or like he just didn't even respond for this, like just brought his pieces over somehow, run his king to safety somehow, then he should have been okay. Because after knight g5, that is not that much of a deal. The entire problem, of course, is the king. So he really needs to play queen c1 here, and even after takes. I think apparently this is winning, but here, okay, bishop f4. We can't give a check yet. Rook g4 or something, and this should be at least playable. I know this is much more active from black, like moves like this, or perhaps retreating the rook and then checking, bring the queen over or something. Admittedly, black is much more active, but at least white can hope. But since he didn't play this, this quickly spiraled out into a loss for him because of this pawn and the loss of an exchange here. Apparently, I should have gone for rook g4, because after that, queen f3, rook e4 is a stuck king. Well, that's really crazy, I missed that, but queen g4 is already good enough. After queen g4, the simple winning plan here would be just to cut the king off, push, and then here. That's the end. And of course, even if he goes here, we could always like do something like this, grab this pawn, and then push on the other side of the board as well. Okay, I guess this concludes our 2 games of today. I hope you enjoyed the games, and it has already been 20 days. I'm pretty impressed that I actually managed to hold on for this long, and of course to have made such huge progress. I hope you enjoyed the challenge as well, and let me see you tomorrow on day 21.